Habs insider Eric Engels reported that the Montreal Canadiens could see Josh Anderson as a trade bait piece for Pierre-Luc Dubois this summer. We'll be talking about that, plus some news about Habs practice. Sean Monahan is back, along with Jonathan Drouin and Joel Edmundson. And finally, we're going to get into the Habs mid-season skater efficiency rankings, so you won't want to miss anything we have to say on this edition of Habs Digest. Hello, bonjour, ahoy, and welcome to today's news edition of Habs Digest. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, alongside my co-host, Jesse Poirier. Quick reminder, guys, we're so close to 4,000 subs. If you haven't hit that button, hit it now. It'd be greatly appreciated. Jesse, let's get right into this. Again, it seems like every day as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline, there's new trade news coming out. But this news is not about the deadline in particular. Eric Engels said that the Canadiens could see Josh Anderson as a bargaining chip to acquire Pierre-Luc Dubois this summer. Now, we've done a lot of talking about Pierre-Luc Dubois, and both of our opinion seems to be, let's wait and see if he just comes here in free agency. But Jesse, do you think these recent reports of the Habs maybe going after him more and more, do you think it could indicate that maybe Kent Hughes doesn't want to be that patient? Maybe they're like, let's go after him right now.
There is that expression, right? Get while the getting's good, strike while the iron's hot. And I think with a player like this, it's like, I kind of get not wanting to take the chances. And, there is some, people have kind of brought up, oh, maybe there's some personality issues. But the bottom line is he's a great hockey player. And I'd love to see him in a Montreal Canadiens uniform. Now, that's whether for free during free agency or through a trade, that it's really debatable. But if they are, looking to make a move, it's probably because they feel there might be a threat of losing him, because we know how good Kent Hughes is with asset management. If he felt like it was a complete slam dunk that he's going to come, which he's made it known, so we definitely have some leverage in that department. It'd be interesting just to see how this all turns out, because he must have some information that we're not having at this point in time.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I wanted to just run this by you, because it's sort of my thought process on the thing. Like, if you're the Jets and you have Pierre-Luc Dubois, a guy who has made it very clear that he's probably not going to stay long-term, although, of course, nothing official. He hasn't come out and said, I'm not coming back to the Jets. It's been purely speculation. If you're the Jets, you see this guy, like, point-per-game player, physical body too, lays the body, but you think, like, for sure he's gone. Let's say you're an insider on the Jets. You know he's gone. You're in the front office. And the Habs come knocking at your door with someone like Josh Anderson. Let's say that, like, pure value-wise, Pierre-Luc Dubois is worth a lot more, especially right now, than Josh Anderson, no doubt in my mind. But if you're the Jets, and you know this guy is probably gone, do you think eventually they might just accept a little less? Like, maybe Josh Anderson and a much lower package than we might have been expecting, just because inside the organization they know that Pierre-Luc Dubois can just walk away for free?
Well, they really don't have a choice, so that's it. I get that they would definitely want Josh Anderson, and it would take a little bit more. Now, what that is kind of debatable. I think they would probably want some prospects for sure, maybe some picks to go along with that, and maybe another roster player just to kind of match salaries a little bit more. But, I mean, like, Josh Anderson would be great for the Winnipeg Jets. You could see why they would be interested. And I think there is a high probability of something like this occurring. That being said, is I find that, like, Josh Anderson, he also fits the Montreal Canadiens style of play so well. Is for sure we'd be getting that size back in Pierre-Luc Dubois, but I really love Anderson just for his transition game, and that's really our bread and butter. So I think it'd be a great trade, but we still need to be cautious.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Hit the nail on the head, Jesse. I swear, if Josh Anderson could learn to do one more move when he's skating in, he would be unstoppable. Because people know what he's going to do, and they can stop him now. But if he learned one more move, that guy could be a 30-goal scorer again. Well, I guess not again, but you know what I mean, that level of goal scorer. So I do like Josh Anderson. This is something to be monitoring as we head into the summer, but it's very interesting that Kent Hughes might be making a move on Pierre-Luc Dubois sooner than we think. Topic 2 today. Jonathan Drouin, Sean Monahan, Joel Edmundson, back at practice. I mean, we knew that some of these guys were going to come back to practice after the All-Star break. We were told that. Although today, Coach Martin St. Louis, when he was asked about Jonathan Drouin, said that he might not be ready for this weekend because Drouin was the first one there in a full contact jersey. He seemed ready to go at practice, but St. Louis wasn't sure if he was going to play Saturday night. However, Monahan and Edmundson were in non-contact jerseys, and they came out an hour before the team practice at 2 p.m. Now, some people were speculating maybe a trade. I don't think so, but the overarching point here, Jesse, is how great is it after all the silence, Montreal being so sketchy with Sean Monahan, it's just really good to see him back at practice finally, right?
It is reassuring, and let's face it, it's good for the organization as well to get some time before the trade deadline to really showcase their skills. Now we don't know how long all three of these players might still be remaining.
Mhm.
I've made it known on this podcast that I'm definitely down with keeping Monahan
Yeah.
past this season if we can get him on a team friendly 2-3 year kind of deal.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, that's it. I think Drouin and Edmondson's days are looking like they're numbered here.
Yeah, they very well could be. Actually, the lines of practice, I don't have a picture to throw up there, but no surprise, Raphael Harvey-Pinard is up on the first line with Suzuki and Anderson again, but Jonathan Drouin was rolling with the fourth line. I think it was Alex Belzile and Michael Pezzetta maybe on the fourth line with him. Of course, the Habs calling up Jesse Ylönen and Alex Belzile today on an emergency basis. That was fully expected. They were sent down before the All-Star break, called back up after, but considering Drouin is the first one, and he might not even be playing this weekend, we might see another 11 forward formation. Could be interesting. But yeah, Raphael Harvey-Pinard staying on the first line is another note from this practice, Jesse. I mean, with a bunch of other players' days numbered, like we said, do you think he has locked himself in? I know it's a small sample size, but do you think we can say, like, for certain, maybe a hot take, that he is on this roster no matter what happens for the rest of the season?
I think he's on for the rest of the season, and I think there's a very good chance that he could be here next year.
Yep.
Because I think he's the exact type of player that St. Louis loves. He was in Martin St. Louis' time as a player, he was a skill guy, but he was also really known for his work ethic, for being so hardworking. I think that kind of comes across as a head coach. He's very intense, which isn't unlike any NHL coach, but I feel that it's really a strength of his. And how do you feel, Josh, in your opinion, like Drouin kind of, I know he's just coming back from injury though, kind of being on that fourth line and seeing Harvey-Pinard on that first, like we could see how easily that this could be reversed, right? Where Jonathan Drouin is on that first line and Raphael Harvey-Pinard is on that fourth, but because of that hard work and that effort, which I think isn't a given, still at the NHL level, you still need to bring that. You don't get a free pass on effort just because you're in the NHL now. How do you think Jonathan Drouin feels about that?
I mean, it's weird because Jonathan Drouin, to me, like, has had so many moments of laziness when you're watching him on the ice. I know he's had so many issues. I don't want to harp on the guy too much, but a lot of the times it's been a theme since back in his Tampa days where you'll see him kind of not always put in that 100%. But when this guy from Laval comes in and gets a chance to play with that line at 100%, the results were there. St. Louis tried Drouin there. Drouin did not deserve to be on the top line just based on his performance. St. Louis saw something in him. He's like, listen, man, you might have maybe top 3, top 4 on the team in pure skill. You got to be able to do this. But Harvey-Pinard, a guy who's definitely not up there just pure skill-wise, he made it there with just his hustle. So I think it might be a wake-up call to Jonathan Drouin. Jesse, actually, that is a great segue into our final topic today, going into these player efficiency ratings for the Habs skaters. If you guys aren't familiar, WAR is wins above replacement. All you need to know is O-WAR is offensive WAR, D-WAR is defensive WAR, and it's essentially a metric. The closer to 100% you get, the better you are league-wide at your position at that thing. So if you take a look here, Jesse, who is at the bottom? 0th percentile in wins above replacement in the NHL, but Jonathan Drouin, 30% offense, not surprising, 1% first percent in defense, first percent in finishing, and if you didn't know, first percent is a bad thing. He is a 1 out of 100 players in the bottom, and 29% in the penalties. Jonathan Drouin has not been putting in the effort, and I mean, there's some other guys here. Now, this list is obviously, there are flaws here, right? Mike Hoffman is not the third best player on the team. Jordan Harris is definitely not the best player, but it's a decent gauge if you want to get a rough feel for these guys. Jesse, one thing I took away from this, as you guys take a look at this, of course, Kirby, Dach, the insane performance pretty much across the board, maybe our best overall, like, all-around player if you look at this. But I wanted to mention the likes of Cayden Guhle, Jake Evans, and Jonathan Kovacevic. Literally the top 3 guys in defensive wins above replacement, and we're missing 2 of them, and Kovacevic isn't playing like a ton of minutes every game. I wanted to touch on those guys specifically to show how much Montreal's defense is lacking. I mean, we've seen us give up so many shots, so many games we're getting outscored. Do you think those guys missing is really playing a role in that? Because this chart seems to indicate that that's true.
Yeah, no, it's been our sore point all year, as we know, right? If you're a Habs fan, you're watching games. One of our number one major problems, besides our lack of a power play for a good part of this season, is letting too many shots on net. And I think that this is no surprise to anybody. We called this at the beginning of the year, kind of looking at the roster. It's like we're super inexperienced on defense,
Yeah.
So I think that that's kind of part of it. Looking at those stats, kind of surprising to see Xhekaj not having the best sort of kind of defensive rating, but kind of finishing high in the finishing category. So my kind of takeaway from that is that's definitely somebody you want to keep on either the first or second power play unit, because it seems like he does definitely make the most of his opportunities, and really no surprise with Caufield, right, with that elite finishing ability as well as Suzuki as well. So some nice insights from this.
Yeah, some nice insights. And again, guys, like, this isn't supposed to be like this player better than this player because his WAR is higher. It's more of just a general feel thing. Of course, Jordan Harris is not the best player on Montreal. Mike Hoffman, probably not one of our best defensive players, as that would like to indicate. But in general, there's a lot of good trends and some interesting information to take out of it. Let us know if you agree or disagree with that in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. But that'll do it for this news edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a comment, like, subscribe to the channel. We love your guys' support, and we hope it goes all the way to 4,000, 5,000 subs and beyond. I'm Josh Goss for my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.